The introduction of industrial agriculture was our nation's saving grace and has continued to be our nation's primary weapon in combating food insecurity in urban areas as well as providing humanitarian food aid to developing nations around the world. The introduction of mechanized farm equipment reduced production times, while fertilizers ensured increased crop yields, and the introduction of synthetic pesticides significantly reduced the number of affected crops. While the intentions behind the industrial agriculture were good, we are now experiencing devastating unintended consequences to our environment and health. These consequences can be seen in our environment through eutrophication of our streams, rivers, lakes, and oceans, as well as increases in respiratory illnesses, cancer, and cardiovascular illnesses in humans.
Hi, my name is Sam, and I'm going to be covering one of our strategies for tackling the issue of industrial agriculture. So now that we have an understanding of what industrial agriculture is and its impacts on human and environmental health, we can talk about strategies. So for our strategies, our first strategy is to create a framework for overall sustainability through the use of education. This will expand society's knowledge of the damaging impacts that our current outdated food systems have on the natural world, as well as gives us some steps that we can take to promote environmental health. New sustainable education will aim to cover 4 key aspirations for sustainable agriculture, including efficiency, sustainability, health and nutrition, as well as being inclusive. It will create a shift in consumer attitudes to ones that expect healthy foods that are nutritious, meaning non-GMO, free of pesticides and fertilizers, ones that are sustainable, meaning that they don't deplete topsoil or threaten biodiversity, and overall ones that are affordable, allowing anyone to access them. This introduction of education has to be broad and presented across all higher education in order to be successful. It should help answer questions like, what is sustainability? What are we trying to sustain? And how do we as individuals create a better world? They should highlight the importance of nutrition, locally sourced food, as well as the benefits of community involvement. Through educating the public, we should expect to see a new norm evolve among society, beginning at a local level where individuals shape their own communities, to farmers, to retailers, to researchers, and policymakers. This new educated, smart consumer mentality will be the driving factor for a new mainstream agriculture that is sustainable. Although the significance of these principles won't be seen in the short run, they have to be voiced now in the present. They are essential in generating a shift in social value that's needed to enforce a sustainable food system.
It's important to note exactly how we arrived at our current state of industrial agriculture. It's important to note that it started right after the Industrial Revolution and then continued based on the profitability and extreme volume that can be produced through monocultural farming practices. And it's also important to note that it has been continued and is going to keep continuing unless significant change occurs because specifically of the government motivated policies that are put in place. So there are 4 primary drivers in the industrial agriculture wicked problem. The first of which is government agents. They provide policy, they enforce rules, they monitor the quality and quantity of any good being produced in the food market. Next is industrial agricultural farmers who all provide a monoculture farming practice to the industry by producing one single large product, like a huge amount of corn on a single field that is only planted with corn, or the same circumstances with soy or wheat or any of those other major health-sustaining crops. And then the third is environmental advocates who push for better policies in the government that are more sustainable for our world and more healthy for the individual. And fourth is consumers, the people that buy the food that is produced by the industrial agricultural farmers. And so the consumer is really where the crux of the change can initiate, by having a significant change in the way that people provide preferences to their market. So if more people are more aware of the issue, then fewer people will have a continued preference for these unsustainable materials like processed Cheerios and items like that, where the food is produced in an industrial agricultural farm, likely a monocultural farm, then heavily processed and then packaged and then received by the consumer. So if we can cut down on chains like that, then we can create significant change all the way across the board.
Jocelyn, Sam, and Kate have given us some very valuable information, and we know now we need to act. We need to act fast, and we need to implement this in our everyday lives. So I'm here to give you some examples of way that you can do so, and I challenge each and every one of you to take action today. So this means a call to action for us to source our foods locally. Here I have examples from local farmers, farmers markets, freestanding stores, and then on the bottom right, community gardens. When we don't have access to stores, we can take action to really grow our own foods, whether it's individually or with our neighbors. Also, consuming less meat makes a huge impact. And just being an informed consumer, all of those are keys to helping reduce our footprint when it comes to food. Jocelyn, Sam, and Kate have given us some very valuable information, and we know now we need to act. We need to act fast, and we need to implement this in our everyday lives. So I'm here to give you some examples of way that you can do so, and I challenge each and every one of you to take action today.
Thank you, Sam, Sarah, Kate, and Jocelyn, for everything that you've contributed into this group presentation. In conclusion, where we are today is far from where we should be as a society. Industrial agriculture is no longer sustainable as it once was for our society. Monoculture crops and industrialized production of meat is not something that we should continue to do as a society. What we will need to do next as a culture, society, and even a people is up to us. And the question here is, what do we want our sustainable world to look like? Thank you.